Okay, so I found the image that I'm using as my reference, and I find it sometimes helpful to go back in and look at it and kind of see where the lights and darks are. Make sure I'm capturing those. Especially with a pose like this, it's really going to make a difference if you have the right shading in the right places. This is where I might, because this eye is like so tiny, it's gonna drive me crazy. So I might go in here now with my tiny, tiny little pencil and darken up where I want it to be dark. Add that lid in. And then I also have this little eraser, which is super handy. And then a lot of times I'll just go ahead and add in a highlight. This is a Sakura Jelly Roll 08, one of my favorite little white pens. And if you overshoot your highlight, you can always do it again. Sometimes it's not quite right. You need to just I tend to overdo highlights because I love them so much. So kind of do what feels right for you. So as you can see, I kind of go back and forth between working details and value. Sometimes I get caught up doing the face because I love faces. I also need to work on the shadow of this arm here. It's pretty important to give that sense of bending that she's doing here. So this underside of the hand is all in shadow. And so is this arm. Part of the arm. So obviously you can keep pushing your values and keep building, kind of keep working it until you're happy. And then sometimes I'll go in and like add little details of maybe some white highlights in the hair. Same with the, you know, the clothing here. I could add some white to it. I have been not only using the white pen, but also my Posca pen. This is a Posca Uni in white, and I will add white details with it as well. It tends to be a little bit more opaque than the pen. And you can also, if you put down white and it feels too harsh, you can take your brush and actually just kind of work it in a little bit. That's another thing that I do. You know, if it comes out too strong or if these lines feel too much. Because the micron pens, the black micron pens, they're not going to react with the water, you can do this and not worry about affecting your lines. Just make sure you're using a non-water soluble black pen for your line work, and then you won't have to worry about going over it with things. And then another thing that I do a lot of is I do a lot of dots in my work. It's just something I enjoy. A lot of other artists do it too. And it's just a fun, really a mark that I enjoy. Little details make me happy. And then I might do some on the spider web, like little dewdrops. But yeah, I mean, this process typically takes me a couple of hours. And again, I wanted it to be not too time consuming. I wanted it to be something that I could do in a sitting and have some fun and play around with details and all that good stuff and not have it be too stressful. I could maybe pop some of the gold a little bit. I've got it pretty It's not super opaque right now, so I could intensify it. Just go back in really carefully. Yeah, I like that better. So now she's got a little more contrast with that gold. Yeah. Now I will go back in here and just add my little white dots in again. They'll actually show up a little bit better now because I have a little bit darker tone in that gold. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take a picture of it with my phone, and that will help me see it kind of with fresh eyes, and I'll see if I need to change anything. Okay, so yeah, immediately I can see that this highlight's a little bit strong. I'm going to knock it back and thin it out a little bit with my pencil. It felt a little chunky there. Cannot beat these pencils for just doing like the tiniest amount of shading or details. They're really handy. I'm going to look back at my model. Just adding some subtle shading to her nose. And then in that same token, I'm going to also add a little more light to her nose. And under her lip is quite a strong I do want that little light in there, but just not quite as strong. That's a little better. You know, and when you're working with a figure this small, like I can get to be kind of a perfectionist, and you know, I can see some areas that are kind of bugging me, but there's only so much you can do. Don't like this transition here. Kind of got weird. See if I can lift a little bit. It's a little better. So I also am taking notice of the light that's catching on her fingertips, and I think it might be kind of nice to add those in. Like this thumb is quite illuminated. These little hands can drive you insane. I try not to be too hard on myself. Okay guys, so I'm just going with my white pen here and just adding in a little bit of light onto the arms and stuff where I see. So with these little tiny hands, my goal is to try and just capture the, you know, the gesture more than make perfect hands, because they're very small. It's kind of tricky. Now the other thing you can do too that I'm doing from time to time is I'm using a little bit of white gouache. And I know that's not an ink either, but if you want to get some more solid areas of white or highlights, white gouache does a really good job. Even better, I think, than the pens. You can get a pretty opaque line. And it's subtle. Okay guys, so I think I'm going to call it done. I think this took me a couple hours to film this for you, and I hope you guys enjoyed seeing how I'm creating these. I'm loving it. It's just so much fun. And oh, I wanted to show you one more thing. A lot of my pieces that I've been doing have this real thin wash of gold. And so what I will do is kind of definitely have a very wet brush, and I'll just kind of very organically sort of create a wash. Definitely don't need to do this, but it kind of adds a little atmosphere to things. So I have been doing that as well. All right. It's all about the magic, right? Okay guys, so I'm going to call this done. I have loved making this with you. If this kind of calls to you, go for it. I have just loved doing Inktober, and I think any kind of daily practice that you can do is so obviously beneficial for your creative practice and for your mental well-being. I mean, with everything going on, this has been a nice place to just come and relax and work on something. And I just really think it's a nice way to kind of do something for yourself. So I could keep going on this, but I think I'm going to leave it here and move on to the next day. All right, thanks so much for being here with me, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next time. Okay guys, so I thought I was finished, but I realized I wanted to do something. So now I'm taking my 03 pen, micron pen, and I'm going around her exterior contour. And I just felt like I wanted on this one to have it a little stronger. And it kind of contrasts nicely to all of the more delicate lines. So I'm very carefully going around the outside edge, trying to be mindful of keeping my line, you know, delicate, but this is more of a design element, I guess you could say. Design choice. Just kind of gives her a little more weight, a little visual pop. I'm not going to outline her face because I want that to be a little bit more delicate. So it's kind of making these choices, you know, where are you going to emphasize your line weight, and where are you going to keep it a little bit more, you know, softer, delicate, more delicate. This kind of gives her a little bit more shape. I may actually go around the circle as well with my thinner 0.2. Around the circle a little bit. Yeah, so I'm liking that a little better. I feel like it's a little stronger. Just kind of emphasizing some of those different areas. You can see you can kind of really get caught up in all of the details, like I was mentioning. My favorite part. But I think it's all these little details that make the piece special, make it interesting. Yeah. All right, now I think I'm done. I will leave you guys. Thanks again for being here, and I hope you give this a go, and I can't wait to see what you create. All right, I'll see you guys.